What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the What the Fun Show. My name is Mike, and today we have a very special podcast for you talking about the Halloween franchise, my favorite horror film franchise, maybe my favorite franchise in any media. And we got a special twist as to how we're going to talk about it because I'm an expert, and my guest, Shanine, is a newbie to the franchise. I mean, you've just literally watched it for the first time in its entirety this year. So, are you excited to talk about this movie franchise?
I'm so excited.
That's good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it so much more than I was expecting to, I think. So I'm excited to talk about it.
That makes my heart happy as a lifelong Halloween fan. So yeah, listeners, I hope you're ready for this special podcast. Might be a little bit lengthier because I mean we're deep diving in. So stay tuned. If you have not left us a review yet, what are you doing? Please leave a review down below, either in the comments on YouTube. Just let us know how we're doing. Make sure to subscribe on the YouTube channel. Help us out, get to 100 subscribers. But most importantly, on Apple iTunes or Spotify, leave us a review. We would really appreciate it. If you are listening to my voice right now, we should have a Halloween Ends review out, I believe, if I'm remembering my calendar correctly. So the brand new Halloween movie, me and Justin should have a review out for you right now. So go ahead and take a look, as well as we'll have a playlist for everything on the YouTube channel, as well as go through our podcasting feed to see all the Halloween content, all the spooky season that we had this year. So go ahead and take a listen to all of that. So Shanine, let's get to know you just a little bit more. So who are you? What do you do? How did we meet? I mean, yeah.
Yes, I'm Shanine. I am from Canada. I blog over at thehootandhowl.com, and I podcast and stream video games at FirstGeek411 over on Twitch. And like basically all of my geeky internet friends, we got connected on Twitter.
Yeah. Twitter's kind of Twitter sucks, but it also is pretty cool sometimes. Yeah, I mean, I remember I met your podcasting partner, Cam, right? And he's been on this show back when we were the 90s First, and he reviewed Jurassic Park with us. So yeah, I mean, little history with your podcast over there. Listeners, we'll have all her links down below in the description. Go ahead and check out her blog and everything. And we'll go from there. So, hey, I got a couple of questions for you since this was a new franchise to you. And it's not so new to me. What made you decide to watch Halloween? Like, why did you want to get into this franchise?
Yeah, I think so. Not only am I new to Halloween, I'm kind of new to the horror genre in general.
Okay.
I never really watched anything scary growing up, and then my friends got me into, well, they forced me to watch some of the more recent scary movies. And those were like a lot. They were very scary.
So which ones did they force you into?
They forced me into like The Conjuring, Sinister, Insidious.
Those are not the ones that I probably would have started you off with.
Yeah.
I think what's very interesting about the Halloween franchise and just like slashers in general is that I think that the original ones are very approachable, versus like Sinister, Conjuring. Those are like the cream of the crop, like new age horror, but they're extremely over the top scary to me. So honestly, like, I know that I'm a huge Halloween stan and fan, but I probably would have started you off with like Halloween, the original, or even Friday the 13th, because it's not as crazy, I would say, as those three that they made you watch. So I'm
Yeah,
sorry for
see,
you.
and I know I would have done better that way. But then I went and watched the first Halloween and was like, oh, this isn't scary at all. I'm fine. So,
Yeah, it's not scary to me anymore, but I still think it's creepy. Like I think the
yes.
original Halloween is a very scary movie, not to like watch, but to just like really think about,
Hmm.
and kind of dive into. So what was it like to experience these movies for the first time?
I think it was a little surprising, I guess, because they are so well known
Mhm.
in pop culture and society and stuff. Like Michael Myers is a very recognizable figure,
Mhm.
whether you've seen the movies or not. So I feel like I kind of had a picture of what to be expecting going in, and then watched them and was like completely wrong about it. Just because not having seen any of the classic horror movies, I just kind of confuse all of the classic horror villains in my head.
Okay.
So I was like, I don't know which one Michael Myers actually is. I just know the name.
Yeah, Michael Myers is pretty popular, but just it's the white mask, the blank white mask. That's all you have to remember. Um, so yeah, I mean, like, did you did you start like when okay when besides the first movie, when in the franchise were you like, okay, these are some really good movies? Like, what point did you have to get to?
I think, yeah, like the first movie was good, but like considering its age, it was like a little campy
Mhm.
watching it now.
Yeah.
Not in like a bad way, just it's aged a
Oh
little
yeah.
bit.
Hmm.
I think the movie that like really got me and I was like, yeah, the Halloween movies are cool was Halloween 4.
There
I
you go.
think the twist got me and I was like, "Oh, wow. They did something cool." Like that was awesome.
that that like really makes my heart like very happy, because Halloween 4 I defend like so much, because it really it was really the first sequel to truly capture the essence of the original movie, and just like the way that it portrayed Michael. Now, we could get into it if you want, but that mask is just god awful in Halloween 4. But regardless, the way that they wrote the story, and how it was all done within that one house, the sheriff's house, like it just really felt like the original. It had that original vibe. So it makes my heart happy that you really enjoyed Halloween 4. That's for sure. So yeah, for me, the first time watching it, so I probably shouldn't have seen Halloween at this age, but I was 8 years old when I saw Halloween, the original, for the first time. And obviously, because of that, I just fell in love with horror films in general. But I remember just watching the original Halloween, and looking back on it now, you truly you truly realize how how potential how it has the potential to actually happen to you, right? Like that's what is that is what's so scary about the original movie. Yeah, you're right, it's campy, it in some areas it's a little hard to watch now, but ultimately what is still scary about it is the fact that this could happen in real life. Like, this is suburbia. Like, a man could get in a white mask, and he could be in your house, chasing you. And that's really what brings the scary so much so that I remember that when I was a kid, we had our kitchen table in a certain way that my seat, wherever I sat for dinner, if I looked into my bedroom, I imagined that he was in there if the bedroom was dark. And so I told my dad, I'm going to need to switch seats with you because I can't look in my bedroom, or I need to go close my door. That's how scary it was to me as a kid. And then like rewatching it now, you just sort of appreciate the directorial like view and how John Carpenter did that original film. And you just sort of appreciate all the things that he did and all of its like sort of influence on the rest of horror films. The original 1978 movie was 2 years before Friday the 13th. Like it just started slasher movies, and that's the series that you're going to next or soon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Per my recommendation, don't listen to your friends. Listen to me. Okay. So, and then I actually, it's been a while since I've seen like that stretch of Halloween 4 and 5. So that is its own continuity. We'll get to that in a little bit, but what did you think of that like trilogy to bring Michael Myers back? Did you kind of like the direction outside of 4, or?
I mean, a little mixed in that whole continuity, I think, but overall I enjoyed it. I think, what is her name? Danielle
Harris.
Danielle Harris. Yeah. I think like she was really amazing. Like there's some child actors from that era and you're like, well, they got a child.
Yeah, right. they got a little kid.
But she was incredibly talented, and I feel like they kind of hit the same Halloween gold that they hit with Jamie Lee Curtis. And she was just so good. So I enjoyed her.
I agree with you, especially in Halloween 5, where she's like mute for the whole entire movie pretty much, and just like her facial expressions, her ability to act while not talking, like it was really good for a child actor. 100% agree.
Yeah.
And then they dropped the ball and didn't bring her back for Halloween 6. There's actually a story behind that. In the documentaries, I don't know if you watched any like extra footage or anything like that, but Danielle Harris was really mad that she was not back for Halloween 6. Her character was recast. So, yeah, she should. Because like what you're talking about is like it was a really good storyline to have like to have Laurie Strode's niece, be the next girl, that the Michael would fight. Let's talk about Michael. You ready?
Yes.
So what did you think about Michael Myers, like as a villain, as a character? I have my own opinions about Michael within each continuity. Like for example, the newest continuity, it is the best version of Michael Myers in my opinion. But what do you think about The Shape?
I mean, I love that they call him The Shape, even though we know what his name is. Mm-hmm. Like, it's so much more spookier that way. I don't know. I think he's not like an outlandish looking monster. Like, he's just in his like coveralls and a mask, and that's just like, it's not, I don't know, it's not like a wild looking monster. He's just a guy in a mask. And at Halloween time, that's like I don't know, not that unusual. So it's creepy that way. Like, he can blend in to some extent, and I don't know, his silence is like the scariest thing, which, you know, some continuities leaned away from, but
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, he kind of speaks a little bit in The Curse of Michael Myers, which is Halloween 6. Um, and then obviously Rob Zombie's movies.
yep.
Well, I will defend the original Rob Zombie. That second one, I will that that movie might as well not exist. If I'm being completely honest. Yeah, like I totally agree with you. Like that's what was so cool about Halloween 2018 when Michael returns to Haddonfield. He's in his mask. He is about to start doing his thing, right? And he just shows up on Elm Street or whatever. That's a different franchise, but still, he shows up on Elm Street and he's just in a mask and he blends in, and nobody like bats an eye that he is there, because I mean that was 40 years ago as far as the 2018 continuity. So like, yeah, they just they just don't know that this guy's bad, and then lo and behold, he's walking around killing people. So for me, like the silence is perfect for this character, but as well as the white mask, right? The white mask shows like so much. Um, it shows a devoid of emotion, right? There's no emotion there. You can't you you truly, as Dr. Loomis would say in the original movie, you see the essence of evil just within his eyes. Like, and that is, I think it's so interesting that like this is the mask that he would steal from that hardware store, because I think he was stealing that for a purpose. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yeah, he's not like random. He is very purposeful about everything he does, so it makes sense that the mask he chooses would be purposeful as well.
Did you know that was William Shatner mask?
I didn't when watching it, and then my friend told me after, and I was like, I feel like that would have changed everything for me if I had known that going in.
Yeah, so they John Carpenter, like the history of the original Halloween is so fascinating. Like the budget that he had was around $300,000, and for what he did, like just phenomenal. But they got John Carpenter told his like producer or whatever, we need a mask. And so he apparently goes to a Halloween shop and buys like 4 masks or whatever. He buys a clown mask, he buys another mask, and then he buys a Star Trek William Shatner mask. And with that, he also bought a Spock mask. And so what they did was on the William Shatner mask, they cut off the sideburns. So there's no sideburns on Michael's mask, if you notice. So they cut off the sideburns. They spray painted his hair a little bit darker, slicked it back a little bit, and then spray painted it all white. And that's literally the mask. It's mind blowing, and like it's crazy that like a William Shatner mask turned into just this pit of evil. Like that's really what it is. It's just this emotionless pit of evil. And I'm gonna use this word, but to a certain extent, it's beautiful. Like it's a beautiful way as to how John Carpenter and them, created this character. What movie has your favorite Michael Myers?
I think just the OG 1978.
Hey.
I don't know. It's hard to beat like the Michael Myers.
I mean, I would agree. You know, but like at the end of the day, like so I think I like the original Halloween Michael Myers, but I really like the way that James Jude Courtney has portrayed him in the newest trilogy. So like I think he might be my favorite Myers actor, but yeah, I mean the original Halloween you just can't go wrong with that when Nick Castle is his name and just the way he walks, the way that he brings himself into every scene. It's just wild. Um, what is your favorite mask? Is it the original?
Oh, I I like the mask in the new movies. How it's like kind of worn
Okay.
and like it's been waiting, kind of.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the mask in its fullest in Halloween Ends because like you've only seen like trailers or anything like that. Yeah, I really like the worn down. So do you like Halloween 2018 or Kills better? Because Kills has a little more burn marks all over it.
Don't know.
You don't know. Okay. 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 Well then we'll just go with the original. Sound good?
Yep.
All right. So Michael Myers, my favorite villain of all time, you know, what do you think about him in his like continuity? So you got in the original Halloween, he's more of like he's a passive like sort of I don't want to say passive because he's also aggressive in certain scenes, but like I think I hope you get what I mean is he's like a little bit more reserved. And then you got like this new continuity where man he is in your face, he is brutal, he's still sort of that stalker type, but he is, you know, he's upped his game. Or you got the brutalness of Halloween 6, or you got, you know, sort of the stalker in Halloween 4 and 5 as well that sort of continue that original continuity too. Like what what continuity do you think is the best?
Just like overall.
Overall,
Um
where Michael is, like do you think Michael is in his best spot like in this continuity that we have now, or do you think that there's some glimpses and I'm gonna ignore Rob Zombies. We'll talk about his, but some glimpses in in the other ones.
I think I do like him best in like this current continuity. I think keeping him as like just a man makes it scarier in like the other ones introducing like the supernatural, like druidic
Hmm.
stuff and things like that. It's like this is not working.
So I guess that begs the question: do you think there's any supernatural in this new continuity?
I mean, he still seems weirdly indestructible to be completely unsupernatural, but I, I don't know. Maybe. Just not weird druid stuff.
Yeah. So I tend to agree with that. Like, I'm glad that they aren't going overtly supernatural, in the new continuity, but there's got to be something, right? I mean, this in Halloween Kills at the end, he gets stabbed, shot, like, and not to mention, he was shot in Halloween 2018. He's got 3 less fingers off his right hand, or his left hand actually. Um, and then in Halloween, the original, as far as his continuity goes, he got shot 6 times in the chest. Like, this man's got some supernatural powers. But I think you're right. Like, it's so much better that they would just sort of like, this is just a man, and he's the evilest of all the mans. And I really enjoy that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. Like, he's a man who is the total embodiment of evil, and that's kind of like his supernatural powers. Not magic-y things,
Man.
just evil.
Just evil. You're like speaking my language. We're like on the same page here, and I'm so happy about it. Okay, Laurie Strode. Let's talk about Laurie Strode a little bit here. How significant is Laurie not only to the story of Halloween, but the horror genre as a whole?
I mean, having not a lot of experience in the horror genre, but I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis is kind of known as like the horror queen. Like, she really
Scream Queen, yeah.
she really killed it with Laurie Strode. I don't know. I think I've been thinking just specifically about Laurie Strode lately, and I think it's great how she is obviously super scared, and in subsequent movies you see her very traumatized as well and how it affects her, but none of those things negate her from being very strong and very cool.
Yeah, it's really interesting because obviously for a good portion of time we don't see Laurie until they reboot it again with Halloween H2O. And that reboot like truly solidified. I mean, obviously the original movie does, and to a certain extent Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2. But like Halloween H2O like truly solidified my love for just like not only Jamie Lee Curtis but Laurie Strode as a character. She just doesn't back down. She is a total example for the doofus boys and other doofus girls around her. Like, she's like, hey, this is my brother and I'm gonna kill him. And like she takes that on her back. And Jamie Lee Curtis just does a phenomenal job. And I haven't even talked about the new continuity where Jamie Lee Curtis is literally the best Laurie Strode that we've ever gotten.
So good.
Huh?
So good.
Yes. You know, we'll get to this with when we're talking about our movies, and because we're listeners, we are going to rank all the Halloween movies. So we're going to both have our rankings, and we're going to see where each of ours land. But Laurie Strode's underutilization in Halloween Kills is probably my biggest gripe about that movie. So we'll kind of get into it a little bit though later. So obviously you're not truly experienced in horror films, but Laurie Strode, I want your comment on this. Like Jamie Lee Curtis and Laurie Strode really set up the horror genre for like female leads, and also kind of in cinema too. So what do you got to comment on that?
I don't know. She is so amazing at portraying like just the whole range of human emotion, and I don't know. She's a great woman, and just I don't know. It never some movies feel like they're really shoving that detail in your face, and like it's not like a woman power type movie, but she's just an amazingly strong woman. And I think they do that so well.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, she, you know, Texas Chainsaw Massacre came before Halloween, but the Chainsaw Massacre and Halloween sort of solidified this like final girl trope in horror movies, right? They I mean they started it all. They didn't solidify it. They started it all. I think Halloween, I think like Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street really solidified that as a thing, as a trope within the Halloween genre, but like all of that all of that falls back on Jamie Lee Curtis. Like as you said, just her portrayal of Laurie Strode, like there's so much more depth to her than the original one from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I forget the character's name, but there's so much more depth to Laurie because she's a legacy character. She's been through so many movies, whereas the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre girl, she's not seen in any other movies. And so you have this like consistency with Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis, and it's just so good, as you said. Like she's so good at I you know, I never really thought about that. You're teaching me something new, just the emotion that she really brings into the character in each of the movies.
Yeah, I think we get to see such a range, like fear, obviously, but also just like her strength, her anger, her determination. Yeah, you get to see so much of her, and it's great.
It's awesome. Laurie Strode's so good. Dr. Loomis, the man, the myth, the legend, Michael's doctor, Michael's confidant, even though he doesn't talk. Dr. Loomis, you gotta love him. First of all, how awesome is Dr. Loomis in Halloween 78? Let's just talk about the original Halloween. Maybe throw in the original Halloween too. How awesome is Dr. Loomis?
Oh, so awesome. Not what you expect from a psychologist, but
No, that's true. I mean, most psychologists might not own a gun. Maybe they do. um, but yeah, I mean, Donald Pleasance was the original actor. We do get a new version of Dr. Loomis by Malcolm McDowell, who is Dr. Loomis in the Rob Zombie movies. Not quite as good, not remotely as good, not in the same ballpark. um, but regardless, two different actors portraying him. But like Samuel Loomis, so you're not versed in horror. We have said that. Sam Loomis is actually a play on one of the characters from Psycho. Did you know that?
Oh, I did not.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So Dr. Loomis's name was derived from Sam Loomis, played by John Gavin in the 1960 film Psycho. So a lot of the original Halloween is an homage to Psycho. And
that one is on my list. I should watch that one.
You should definitely watch it, and you'll see sort of the parallels, or at least the homages that were in the original Halloween. But yeah, so Dr. Loomis, he had the best moment in all of Dr. Loomis is in the original film. I will not hear otherwise, but it is when he's talking to the sheriff. He's talking to Sheriff Brackett at the window, and he's talking about Michael and how he sees Michael. How did you like that scene? Like, did you? I know I told you I won't hear otherwise, but I mean, is it the best Dr. Loomis scene?
I mean, yeah, probably. It sums up Dr. Loomis's motivations and the urgency behind his actions, and just tells us about Michael Myers and why he is so scary.
Yeah. I'm trying to. He says I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left, no reason, no conscience, no understanding, and even the most rudimentary sense of life or death, of good or evil, right or wrong. I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up, because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil. I wish Dr. Loomis was in the newest trilogy. Like that would be just
Yes.
It would just be awesome. But yeah, like just that whole monologue, just it is one of the best monologues like ever. And for me personally, like just thinking about the weight of what he's talking about, because really what Dr. Loomis is trying to get us to understand is that this is a kid that's now 21 years old, he's just evil. He is just evil, and he needs to be locked up. And he will go to any stretch in the imagination to make sure that he stays that way, locked up. Cool.
Yeah. I think watching Dr. Loomis throughout like the original continuity was like my favorite B plot of the Halloween movies. Just seeing Dr. Loomis's journey and how he changes from movie to movie.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely starts to lose it towards the end. Like the point where he was okay with using a young child as bait. I'm like, whoa, this is a different Dr. Loomis.
Exactly. I mean, here's a man who's dealing with not only his own life, like, I mean, he's gonna die soon. He's getting old. But then there's this Michael guy who he's been trying to lock up for years, and he does not die. It's just like he knows that like he might be the last hope to make sure that this world is be rid of Michael Myers, and he doesn't have a lot of time. So yeah, I can imagine him going insane. For sure. Like I feel like that's a reasonable response for being a dude's doctor that murders people all the time.
Yeah.
Maybe the child bait is a little over the top, Loomis, but so how do you think Loomis is a psychologist, so like how do you think like psychology overall plays a part in this franchise?
Yeah, I think it's so interesting. Like, we do have, obviously, a psychologist in all of the movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's interesting seeing how they all respond to Michael. Like, we get some earlier glimpses at Michael's treatment, I guess, with the psychologists, and how they still have hope for him, are viewing him as like a person in need of help, which I think is how a psychologist would and should be responding in that kind of a situation. And I don't know, watching the psychologist's view of Michael change as they examine the psychology of Michael Myers, and I don't know how much psychology can you examine with pure evil?
Probably not a lot. I mean, he did, Michael's not giving Loomis much to like act on, like, and so that's why I think he probably comes to the conclusion that this dude is just evil. Like, I can't do anything for him. Any medicine that we give him, any amount of sleep that we let him have, like, I don't know what is going to help this kid. Nothing. He just has this essence of evil, and that's what Dr. Loomis, like, he just wanted to explain that there's no explanation to this but pure and simply evil. And that's what that that's why I'm so happy that with the new continuity they got rid of every single movie except the original, as far as that goes, because like the problem is that all these writers who created the next couple films, except Halloween 4, tried to add motivation to Michael. And Michael is best in the original, in the original, in Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills, and soon to be Halloween Ends. He is best when he has no motivation. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Yeah, It weakens him as a character when they tried to do other things.
Very much so. Like, and the whole family bit that that goes into the original Halloween 2, and then Halloween 4, 5, 6, and then 7, and then Resurrection. And then Rob Zombies. Like, even I have issues with even like the sister thing. Like, that is too much motivation to be giving this villain. And like that's why it's so cool to see just how Dr. Loomis reacts in the original film specifically, is because he knows that this person's only motivation is to be evil and kill. And that's what we get with this new continuity, and that's the best one, in my opinion. But I think you agree. It sounds like you agree. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No, yes.
Okay, cool. And just to top it all off, like, psychology just can't even explain like the Cult of Thorns, right? Like, all that cultish stuff, it just can't even touch it.
Yep.
I like how all you could do is laugh. Okay. So, Shanine, I don't know if you know this, but there are 5 continuities in the Halloween franchise.
I didn't know it going in, but I have since discovered.
So did you feel were you kind of like overwhelmed, like, watching this? Like, you're like, could you figure out the continuities when you were watching it, or did you like look it up before? Like, was it a little overwhelming?
I don't think I was overwhelmed because I was just so naive to it all. I was just like, I'm watching all the Halloween movies. And then I'd start one and I'm like, how does this connect? I'm confused. I'd figure it out eventually, but I think, yeah, more confused figuring out the continuities than overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But by the end of it, we got it all straightened out.
Well, that's good. So I think did you know that Halloween H2O was a direct sequel of Halloween 2? Did you figure that out?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I was like, wait, I feel like we are not referencing Jamie in this at all.
Yeah, that's facts.
Like, we're doing some retconning here.
Yep. So continuity wise, you have the original Halloween spawned three continuities. So it goes Halloween, Halloween 2, and then the Thorn trilogy. So the 4, 5, and 6. And then you have Halloween. Halloween 2 is actually involved. Or no. I think they did get rid of Halloween 2 for the H2O. So I think it goes Halloween 1978, then it goes to H2O and Resurrection. And then you have the newest continuity, which is the original going to 2018 Kills and Ends. And then you have Halloween 3. We haven't even talked about Halloween 3. I wore this specifically for you. I have a Halloween 3 t-shirt.
Oh no.
Your favorite of the franchise.
Yeah.
So that's its own continuity by itself. And then you have the Rob Zombie movies. So before we get into our rankings, I want your thoughts on Halloween 3. What are your thoughts on Halloween 3? And obviously it's probably something that you for sure were not expecting. So go ahead. Sound off.
Okay, this one I did know going in that this was like a weird one, not involved in the continuities, and like probably what was largely considered to be the worst of the bunch. I was like, I'm watching it anyway.
Okay.
And then it all made sense after that.
So is it the worst of the bunch for you?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I did not like it.
Okay. So, all right, we'll get into our rankings here. And we'll go from there. First, I did want to speak to I was false. They do include Halloween 2 in the H2O and Resurrection timeline. So Halloween 2 is in there. Okay, so listeners, we are going to rank Halloweens from worst to best, and again, this might be a lengthier podcast. We're gonna talk about each individual movie if we want to just mention something. It sounds like Shanine doesn't want to mention anything about Halloween 3, so we might be skipping that movie. But regardless, we're gonna mention something and talk about it here a little bit more in detail per movie. So I got my list here. This was very interesting for me to rank because I think I told you, but I've never ranked the Halloweens outside of the top 5. So at least in my mind. So yeah, your number 12 is Halloween 3, you said, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So can I be a Halloween 3 apologist right now?
I'll allow it.
You'll allow it? Okay. If it did not have the name Halloween 3, and if it was sort of disassociated from Halloween 1 and Halloween 2, is it an okay movie? I say okay because I know that it's still not the greatest, but is it an okay movie?
I feel like okay is a stretch.
Ooh, it's a stretch. Okay.
But I do have issues with it outside of how horrible of a Halloween movie it is. But like maybe okay. Maybe.
Okay, maybe. Okay, so why is it your least favorite Halloween? And don't just say because Michael Myers is not in it, which is false. He is in it. He's just happens to be on a TV that a kid is watching.
Oh, yeah. It was like, this is a weird moment. It's like, I don't understand. We're getting very Inception-y with our universe all of a sudden. But, all right. Yes, for starters, the audacity of this movie to call itself a Halloween movie is just, how dare. Like, not only is it obviously not a Michael Myers movie, it just completely misses the spirit of Halloween movies completely. They're like, I know you like Michael Myers because he doesn't talk and just like spooks around and stuff, but what if we had this mastermind villain who loves monologuing?
Exposition, come on. So in fairness to John Carpenter, he wanted Halloween originally to be just this anthology of movies. He didn't even want to make Halloween 2. So Halloween 3 was his idea of this like anthology of spooky stories. So yeah, I mean, in that way, it sort of has like the reason why it's higher on my list, but not by much. I promise you, not by much. But the reason why it's higher is because it's sort of this like I grew up watching Twilight Zone, and it's this like feature length like Twilight Zone sort of feeling horror movie that does hit in some ways for me. It's still terrible, but it hits better than the two that I have under it.
Okay.
Can you guess what my number 12 is?
I'm gonna guess Rob Zombie's Halloween 2.
Very good guess. You are indeed correct. That movie is awful. It is so bad. I don't know what Rob Zombie was smoking when he was writing the script of this movie. But first of all, I mean, you've already mentioned it. Michael Myers talks. Like, he's not supposed to talk. And then Laurie Strode is not supposed to become the villain. And also, there's not supposed to be any psychedelic dreams or like moms that are wearing barely any clothes or in white dresses or something just like showing up. Like, oh, Halloween 2 is awful. Please tell me that is very low on your list as well.
That is number 11 for me.
God.
Yeah. No, it was that one was something. Most of my notes are like, what?
Yeah, and like
just what?
That's so funny. It is so bad. I have to admit that as a Halloween like Uber fan, I think I've only watched it in theaters. I think that's the only time I've watched it. Funny story is Justin, have you listened to our podcast before?
I have not yet.
Okay, that's okay. But Justin, who's normally on the show with me,
oh no, I lied.
Okay.
I have been. I was listening to your Halloween podcasts.
Okay.
Yes.
So Justin, who's been on those podcasts, he sent me a gift one time. It was like a meme gift. And he sent me a DVD copy of Halloween 2. And in that same package, he sent me this shirt, Halloween 3. Two of my least favorites. It was so bad. But maybe I did watch it once just because he bought it for me and I felt bad. I don't remember watching it though. I like to forget it. Okay, so Halloween 2 Rob Zombies is your number 11.
Yes.
Okay. Also, the mask is terrible. It's like half off of his face. Like, why?
Hey, yeah. I don't know.
I will say that the hospital scene in Halloween 2 was pretty good. I like that. Just like the opening. I'll give it that. Okay.
Yeah.
My number 11 is Halloween Resurrection. I'll watch. So I think Halloween 3 is a better movie, but I think Halloween Resurrection is more rewatchable. It is just pure comedy.
Yes. It was the only one that I laughed out loud in. It's like,
Oh, please tell
I
me.
can't.
Please tell me which part. Which part did you laugh out loud?
Okay. Where are the lines? I wrote them down because it was too much. It was, so you want to be on Dangertainment and Trick or Treat.
Oh yeah. Okay. I know the rest
Yeah.
of
It's
that.
like, no. Like, I can't take any of this seriously.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
too funny.
It was, yeah. I mean, Resurrection, it has a soft spot in my heart for, it was one of the few that I actually owned, like physically. Like I bought it myself when it came out, I think. And yeah, so I would rewatch it a lot. But it's just so bad. Like the mask is terrible. Like um and then that's something about like my Halloween rankings is that like it like in some respects it goes as it goes up, like the masks get better and better. Um but yeah, like Halloween Resurrection, that's something else. Like you got Busta Rhymes, don't you have it's Tyra Banks, right? Like
Tyra Banks.
they're just doing a
Yeah.
reality TV show. And I'll give it props that they got a really cool replica of the original house. So that was really cool. But other than that, just like it's just a bad movie. But it's watchable, Okay. I've already mentioned it. Halloween 3 is my number 10. And what's your number 10?
My number 10 is Halloween Resurrection.
Okay, so we just flip-flopped those. Okay.
Yeah, that one was, I have so painfully early 2000s. Just, I need to send an email and their Palm Pilots in their chat rooms. Oh man. It was so funny.
What was funny too is that like I remember probably a couple nights where I'd be watching Disney Channel, right? And Luck of the Irish would be on. And that same actor was in Luck of the Irish. And then I would go watch Halloween Resurrection, and he's in Halloween Resurrection sending emails to help these people survive. And I was just like, this is just a weird, trippy day. Like, this is just a trippy dream. Like, this actor is in a horror film that I've been watching and a Disney Channel original movie. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he does karate against Michael Myers, and he does like a spin kick, and Michael just doesn't even move. Oh, it's the best.
I don't know.
All right, what's your number 9?
Number 9 is The Curse of Michael Myers.
Okay. Why so low?
I think there was just a lot that bugged me about this one. Again, so upset that they did Jamie so dirty. Got rid of Danielle Harris.
And also
like that,
killed the character in the first scene.
Yes. Also that. That'll come up again. I can't. And yeah, again, the Thorn stuff. I'm like, it's not good. I don't like it.
No. Yeah, not good at all.
No.
Paul Rudd, though. Come on.
Yes. I had no idea. And I was like, hang on. Paul Rudd.
So, do you know who Paul Rudd is playing?
It's Tommy, right?
Tommy Doyle.
Tommy?
From the original movie. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy that they brought back Tommy Doyle of all characters, from the original movie. But they did. And Paul Rudd's awesome. Like, whatever he does, he's pretty awesome. So I think my favorite scene in Halloween 6 for Paul Rudd specifically is when he's just like attacking Michael and like he's just getting so winded. He's like hitting him and he's just like, oh, I'm tired. But interesting character. My number 9 is Halloween 5. Halloween 5. The mask is awful in this movie. Just so utterly bad. I the goofiness of the cops, you know, at that party just was in poor taste for me. I didn't like that. Although Danielle Harris did really good as Jamie, all mute and stuff. I wish they didn't go that route. And overall, this Michael Myers specifically is one of the worst in Halloween for me. Just like the franchise in general. I did not like the portrayal of Michael Myers here. So yeah, my number 9, Halloween 5. And does Halloween 5 come in at number 8 for you? I feel like we're kind of close here.
We are close. It's not number 8 for me.
Okay.
Number 8 for me is Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Okay.
It was not bad. While not being like my favorite approach to Michael Myers, I think it was interesting to see him more as a young child and things like that. And yeah, get a fleshed out backstory for him was, I don't know, interesting, fun to explore, I guess, for a Rob Zombie movie. And I mean, the soundtrack was good, which I would hope from Rob Zombie that the soundtrack would be good.
Yeah.
And I liked it.
Yeah.
A lot of the classic Halloween songs in there. So it felt so different from everything. Like even the cinematography and everything felt so different.
Yeah, although it's a retread of the original movie, you know, plus the kid stuff, you know, the sort of growing, you know, my biggest issue with sort of Halloween 1 is that Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 is that, again, it kind of goes back to motive, right? Like, this movie is sort of giving Michael Myers a motive to be who he becomes. And that was, although Halloween Rob Zombie I actually enjoy because it was just like this brutal version of Michael Myers. And I enjoyed that in particular. But he attached a motive to it, and just like his created this bigger purpose for Michael to exist as a villain. And as we've already talked about, the strength is in the ambiguity. Like the strength is in just him not having that motive. So although Halloween 6 comes in at my number 8, Halloween Rob Zombie is my number 7. So the reason why Halloween 6 is a little bit lower than that is because all the Cult of the Thorn stuff, I agree with you completely. Just hot trash when it comes to Michael Myers. But what I do like about Halloween 6 is, again, that brutality. And it was also one of the first like Halloweens where they really introduced like some rock like into like the theme song, like some heavy metal guitar and stuff like that. And that works for me. Like that is totally like love it. And so I like the more brutal approach to Michael. The mask is a little bit better than Halloween 5. And that's why it comes in number 8. Rob Zombie's Halloween, it is sort of in the middle of the pack because I think he did a good job at retelling the original story. But again, it added that motive. Cool.
Yep.
What is your number 7? Right, you're on number 7. I shared my 7 early.
Yeah.
Okay.
7 for me is Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers.
Why did this hit the middle of the pack for you?
I think, I don't know, it felt like a pretty good Michael Myers. We have Jamie. I love her. I think this one, I think he is a lot more brutal and violent. And I don't know, I'm a bit of a baby. And I was like, I don't like this as much. It's scary. But yeah, I think it was pretty good.
What's your
Not
so like this is like Dr. Loomis's turning point, right? Like he's sort of becoming maniacal. And especially at the end, like he catches him in that chain and he's just like, and then he falls on him and like falls asleep. Like, it was such an odd scene. One of my favorite scenes was when Michael is chasing Jamie and she's like in that laundry chute and she like uses his knife as a springboard to get to the top. I thought that was crazy. Like, didn't know knives could do that. So did you, so like so Jamie really holds that a little bit higher for you, right? Like that's why you like it so much?
Yeah, I have written in my notes, Danielle Harris carries this movie on her strong little shoulders.
Yes.
I think a lot of the rest of it was kind of weak for me, but every time she's on screen, I'm just like, wow, she's so good.
What about that mask that Michael puts on in the Camaro or whatever car that is to pick up that girl?
Oh, man. I knew right from the beginning. I'm like, your boyfriend's name is Michael. This is not going to end well. And then it very much didn't. And that whole scene, I was just like so creeped out. Mm-hmm. Not good.
And then also this movie kills off the main character from Halloween 4 pretty quickly. That was another travesty to this movie. Again, just like why did you do that? You know, her character was really strong in Halloween 4. This was, let's see here. This was Ellie Cornell as Rachel. So this was Rachel's character. And I loved Rachel in Halloween 4. Like I just don't know why they got rid of her so quickly, especially when you have Jamie as the focus and like Rachel is her stepsister. You know, so like, what did you think of that choice?
Yeah, also disappointing. I'm like, hey, I liked her. You can't just do that.
Stop it.
I don't know. Maybe it was a little bit like getting rid of her protector type deal, but still disappointing.
Yeah, frustrating. These people don't know what they're doing. No, anyway. All right, your number 6.
My number 6 is Halloween H2O.
Okay. This is where we're going to differ a lot. Okay. Halloween H2O, let's get back to it. We'll talk about it in a little bit. My number 6 is Halloween 4. I love Halloween 4. It almost cracks. It was in my top 5 until a certain movie came out. But Halloween 4 is number 6 for me. Man, it's just so good. I love the I love Michael is best when he's just like in this sandbox and he's just like playing with his toys, right? Like in the original Halloween, he's in this one house playing with his toys. In Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2, he's in a hospital playing with his toys, you know? And like that's what Halloween 4 did. It is that captured that sort of essence, that aura of what the original two were. And man, the mask is awful. They put a pillow in his like he was like just like bulked up like for some odd reason in a very unflattering way. Like it wasn't like muscle. It looked like they put pillows in there, but I still
He's aged a bit.
just a bit. We learn that you should never transfer Michael from one hospital to another. That comes up in Halloween 2018 again. So yeah, I love Halloween 4. I'm assuming that Halloween 4 might come pretty quick in your rankings. What's your number 5?
Oh, we're not going to get to Halloween 4 for me for a while.
Oh, okay.
My number 5 is Halloween 2.
The original Halloween 2. Okay.
The original.
Okay. We differ a lot going up to these these lists here. Okay. I'll do my number 5 quick because Halloween 2 is my number 4. Okay, so Halloween Kills is my number 5. Halloween Kills is my number 5. And then Halloween 2 is my number 4. So Kills, that flashback scene to 1978 was brilliant in that movie. It was flawless. The way they did the mask, the way the character walked, like it was awesome. I loved it. There are some really bad things about Halloween Kills. Like I think the legacy characters were pretty bad, like bringing back Tommy Doyle, bringing back I'd say I'm a Halloween fan and I can't even remember her name. Bringing back the nurse from the original Halloween. That was dumb. Like she just doesn't know how to act anymore, like, and you could tell. That scene where he's killing everybody at the car, like that was ridiculous. Like, you mean to tell me that you're going to kick a door into the gun and she's going to turn it perfectly back towards her and shoot herself? Did you catch that?
I mean, I felt like going at him like that was not the best choice, but yeah, it didn't make much sense.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, but like this Nancy Stevens as Marion, who's and Lindsay Wallace. There we go. Lindsay Wallace, played by Kyle Richards, who played her in the original movie as well. But yeah, I thought the legacy characters didn't really hold a place into it. I really wish Jamie Lee Curtis was used way more in Halloween Kills. But overall, the reason why this ranks so high, and it's in my top 5, Michael Myers is awesome in this movie. He's just straight up awesome. And I love a brutal Michael Myers. I love one that is just what relentless in his pursuit of just anybody. I love, like, the kills in Halloween Kills are some of the best in the series. It's just it is still a fun movie to watch, even though I have some story issues with that. Okay. Halloween 2, the original, was your number 5. It was my number 4. Why is Halloween 2 at number 5?
I mean, one of the originals. It's classic. We love it. But I didn't love it as much as other ones. I thought it was super interesting having it be a sequel like immediately following the events. I hadn't realized that going in. I was like, oh, it's like we're just right back where we left off.
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting, and I don't know, it was a strong sequel. Sequels are hard, but they did well with this one.
Yeah, I agree. Halloween 2, I have a lot of memories of watching the TV version of it. And it's just slightly different than the theatrical release. It's a little bit funnier. Um, I Halloween 2, its strength is that it takes place in this hospital. Like, and it's just sort of a perfect setting for just mayhem. Um, Michael's mask is a little. Do you, you don't know? I'm assuming. And maybe I shouldn't assume. But um, did you notice that Michael's mask is different from the second movie to the original? Did you notice that?
Oh, I did not.
No. Okay, so um, John Carpenter did not want to make this movie. He actually is on record saying that he despises Halloween 2. But still, he did a really good job. I love this movie. And so they were trying, they put that is the original mask. But they put it away and it like shriveled up and it like widened. And then the actor that played it had a bit of a wider face too than Nick Castle. So like when you pull it on, watch Halloween 2 again, you'll notice that it's a little wider compared to the longer version of the William Shatner mask. And it's because it just wore out. Because they just had it sitting in like a bin or something. But yeah, it is very interesting. I love Halloween 2. I haven't watched it in a long time. What'd you think of Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween 2?
I mean, fantastic. Again. I don't know. Just good.
Just good. I mean, she wasn't able to yell for that whole crawl until they're inside the building. You're kidding me? Anyway.
Yeah, there was that.
There was that. Okay, what is your number 4?
Number 4 is Halloween Kills.
Okay, there you go. So we just flip-flop those two.
Yeah.
Why did you like Halloween Kills as a number 4 spot for you?
I have really been enjoying the new movies, so I don't know. Maybe it's part of me watching them now and just being like, I like the new stuff. But I don't know. I enjoyed it. The Strode women are great. They're all good. And yeah, I think there's a few nods and things throughout that I enjoyed as well. Like our first person view that we usually only get with Michael actually being the Umbrella Man. I was like, ooh, that's an interesting twist. I like that. That's fun.
Yeah, that works. Did you like it's your favorite on the list, obviously. Did you like the Halloween 3 reference?
I don't remember it. I might have noticed it, but I've watched a lot of Halloween movies lately.
Yeah, you have. In Halloween Kills, when we haven't even talked about it, but Michael's a showman. He likes to show his work, right? Like he likes to set it up. He's methodical in that way. And in Halloween Kills at the playground, the people that he set up are in the 3 Halloween masks from Halloween 3. The witch, the pumpkin, and the skeleton. The witch, the pumpkin, and the skeleton. So rewatch it and see if you find it. The three those are the masks from the 3 kids that bamboozle the gay couple in Michael Myers' house. So that's them. That's also another thing about Halloween Kills. That couple that lives in that house, wild.
They were fun.
They were. I forget his name. Michael McDonald, I think his name is. Stewie from Mad TV. You probably don't know. How old are you? You might not know Mad TV. Mad TV was the knockoff Saturday Night Live. That for maybe like a year or 2 of its time was actually better than Saturday Night Live. But other than that, okay. Your number 4 was Halloween Kills. Halloween number 3. What's your third Halloween? That was weird. What is your third one on the Halloween list?
My third one is the original Halloween. I feel like this is a controversial choice, and I struggled with my top 3. But there were a lot of factors going into it. And I think some of it was just like rewatchability and which ones I would want to like be rewatching all of the time. And also just an unspeakable quality of the movie that calls out to me. And that's why Halloween is just at number 3. But I feel like number 3 is still very good. And I would definitely watch it a lot.
It is very good. It's wrong, but it's very good. I'm just kidding. No, all the factors that you bring up about the original Halloween, like it's not as watchable as some of the others on the list. It's more watchable than I would say majority of them, but I think like Halloween 2018, I think Halloween Kills. Obviously, Halloween 4 is up there on your list. I think Halloween 4 is probably more rewatchable. Although I would watch Halloween 1978 over Halloween 4. That's just me. But I mean, I have that history with it. And I think just like with Halloween the original, John Carpenter is so brilliant. I always think of my favorite scene in that whole movie is when Jamie Lee Curtis, when Laurie Strode is at the edge of that hallway, it's pitch dark behind her, and then there's just this like little light that starts shining, and then you see Michael's face in there. It's the best. I would argue that is one of the best scenes in like cinematography history. And like it's those payoffs that like Halloween 1978 is so special for me. So my number 3 is Halloween H2O. I love Halloween H2O. The reason why I love it so much is I think the mask aside, I think this is one of the worst masks. And not to mention there was a CG mask in there. I don't know if you know this. You don't. I keep saying I don't know if you know the history. You probably don't. But there's legitimately 4 masks used in Halloween H2O. So the mask situation is bonkers. It's bad. But overall, I like the story. I think they did a good job of, getting rid of the Thorn trilogy and bringing back Jamie Lee Curtis and rebooting the franchise. But also I love 90s horror movies. Scream is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. It's probably my top 5 horror movies. The original Scream. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Like all those. I love those. And Halloween was my favorite villain. Halloween H2O was my favorite villain being made in a 90s style. And that's why it holds a high place in my heart. I love Halloween H2O. I think some of the kills are pretty cool in that movie too. Again, you have this sort of like brutal Michael. But you also have this final like last stand with Laurie that was sorely missing with a lot of the other movies. So yeah, Halloween H2O is high on my list. So okay, I'm just gonna make a guess. Number 2 is Halloween 2018.
No.
Oh, okay. Okay. Halloween 4 then. Why is Halloween 4
It
your
is.
number 2?
That one, as I was watching through, when I got to it, it was like an instant favorite for me. As I've said, I love Danielle Harris. She does so good. So good. And the twist at the end with her,
Spoilers.
I don't know, spoilers, yes, obviously. But yeah, I was like so shocked. And then I'm like thinking about it. I'm like, if I had thought about this for 2 seconds, I would have seen this foreshadowed like from the very beginning. Like, oh, it's so good.
I love Halloween 4 a lot too. There's just so much good in this franchise for me that, like, even though Halloween 4 is at 6 for me, that's not a slight against it. Like, I think 6 going forward to 1, really good Halloween movies. And then 7 on back, just like really bad. Watchable movies, but pretty bad. But Halloween 4, it's so good. I totally agree with you. I think the twist at the end was sort of this like story beat that they wanted to implement to start this like family thing, right? That like he's hunting his family, Oh, this curse is within his family. So now Danielle Harris is going to be the murderer, right? Um, and yeah, I mean, again, it just has some good scares. It has good kills. It has that sandbox feel in the house. I can totally understand why it's your number 2. Totally understand that. My number 2 is Halloween 2018. Halloween 2018 is phenomenal. It like these top 2 are just perfect movies for me. I love Halloween 2018 so much. Laurie Strode coming back. Jamie Lee Curtis does a phenomenal job. James Jude Courtney does a great job as Michael Myers. And yeah, the story that they implemented, retconning everything, was just perfect. I have one issue with Halloween 2 or Halloween 2018, and that's Dr. Sartain. I do not like the new therapist. I thought that
Strictly worse than Dr. Loomis.
definitely, yeah. I think that I was okay with him being sort of the manipulator of how Michael escapes. I was okay with that. But I thought it was just a little bit over the top for him to put on the mask, sort of get this like sense of evil that he wanted to feel. I didn't appreciate that, especially when the history of the best psychologist to Michael and Dr. Loomis. Like it was just rough. But Halloween 2018 is your number 1.
It is.
I'm very happy about this. I'm very happy about this because I love Halloween 2018.
And like I will say, the top 3 are all so close for me. Like it's impossible to have Halloween 4 and Halloween 2018 so high on the list as sequels without the very strong foundation of the original Halloween. But yeah, I loved this one. It was so good getting Jamie Lee Curtis back. I think getting more family history and stuff with her and seeing how the trauma of Halloween 1978 has affected her entire life and affected her family because of it as well. And just all the Strode ladies end up being so cool. and it also had the one scene in the Halloween franchise that actually made me cheer. I was like, oh, that was good.
Which one was that?
Okay. It is when Karen is at the bottom of the stairs and Michael is coming towards them, and she is pretending to be all helpless, like, Mom, help us, I
100%.
can't do this. And then, gotcha. And I was like, whoa, so good.
Yeah, and like just shoots him right in the neck. It like, I love that scene too, but my problem with it is what follows. Like, I wish. So my number one is Halloween 1978, and I've already said like that my favorite scene, and like one of my favorite scenes in all of movie history is that scene where they bring Michael to the light in the dark, right? And they do that with Laurie in Halloween 2018. But she says Happy Halloween. Like, that scene would be perfect if she didn't say anything. Just kind of like Michael does in the original. Like, the thing about Halloween 2018 is that it switches roles, right? Like, Laurie becomes the stalker, and stalkers don't, and they've already decided that stalkers, as far as Michael Myers is concerned, don't talk. Why does she say Happy Halloween? That's my one gripe. I don't know if you agree with me, but I was just like, just be silent and just stab him in the back. Like,
That's fair.
okay.
They need the hero to have a good catchphrase, though. Not saying Happy Halloween is a good catchphrase.
No, I mean, you watch the whole franchise. Laurie's catchphrase is just screaming, just screaming. Yeah, Halloween 1978 is my favorite. I cannot. It's my second favorite movie of all time. Like behind the Goonies. Goonies is my favorite. And so it's going to be really hard. Like, Halloween 2018 comes close, but I think that there are too many inconsistencies with its story beats as far as Dr. Sartain, and well, actually, no, just Dr. Sartain. Everything else is perfect. But yeah, I mean, Halloween 1978, I love. That's our rankings. And that's the end of the podcast. Listeners, I know this was a long one. Since you are the newbie to the franchise, do you have any questions for me about Halloween?
Oh, I don't know. I like all the fun facts I have learned tonight.
I tried my best. I almost wrote a trivia game for you. Yeah, I mean, I will answer all your questions if I know them. I'm pretty sure I might. If you have any questions about horror films in general, I could do that too. Whatever you got, if you have any. If not, then we'll just sign off.
I don't know. I don't think I have any questions.
Cool. Well, you could text them to me later if you have any questions. All right. Okay. This has been a really fun podcast. I hope you had fun, Janine. Thanks for jumping on and, doing this crazy, wild special edition of What the Fun Show. Hey, if you haven't listened to any of our Halloween content, I'll have a playlist in the YouTubes. Go ahead and check that out, or just scroll down through our RSS feed on any podcatcher of choice and check out some of our reviews. Again, if you're listening to this right now, we do have a review of Halloween Ends out, the newest film in the Halloween saga. So go ahead and take a look and listen to my and Justin's thoughts on the brand new Halloween movie. Janine, thank you so much for joining me on this adventure. Thanks
for having me.
Of course, I had so much fun talking Halloween with you. Anytime. Anytime. All right. For Shanine, my name is Mike. This has been the What the Fun Show. We'll see you guys later. Bye.